totally bring a chair. There's also a piano bench. Yeah. That's a baby chair, don't bring that one. What?
I'll sit in the back.
No, I know. I'm laughing because I came around with you. That's not me. It's good. But that's not me because that would be really strong.
Cool. One, join the circle. It looks weird if you're way over there.
You're lurking. I feel like this water is lurking. Don't lurk.
Go sit by Shannon. She doesn't bite. Okay, so contract. Not everybody has turned in their contract.
I haven't.
New contract. Here it is. Take one, pass it around. You didn't do it, I think you did.
I didn't bring it.
Oh, just then bring it. If you have it, you brought it, bring it. But you don't have it.
Hey.
Fine.
So $5.
Okay, so I just want to maybe. First of all, are there any questions? I didn't change it much except for some of the dates. The contract. The contract that I have. I just want to reiterate, it's kind of tricky running a studio this big. I used to do lots of makeup. I used to just make up and make up and make up until kids were going skiing. And it was getting out of control. So then I had to squeeze down on the makeups because I didn't have enough physical time to make up for things like, hey, let's go skiing today. But if you tell me in advance, as you well know, I will do my very best to accommodate you. In the contract it says 2 per year. Until people start abusing that, then it usually goes up to 3, 4, 5. It's not a big deal. Please don't abuse it. Please remember that I'm a mom and a wife, and I'm trying my very best to balance everything at home. So I understand if we were all busy, but try to have your time be the time that we agreed on. With that being said, I hope everyone is okay with the new schedule. That was interesting this year. For next year, I'll try to remember, I think I'm gonna set a time, like a deadline, because I was started on it and then I got resubmissions and then I started on it again for a couple hours and then people changed. So I think I'm gonna make a hard deadline next year. And I try to wait as long as I can, but we kind of have to start the schedule in September. Like we can't really wait any longer because people have things they're doing. So if you have a better idea than me sitting there and writing draft after draft after draft, let me know, because I don't know how else I could make it work. So let me know. There is a registration fee, it's $3, and then I have some it's all on here, late fees, makeup days, purple days. I am gonna go to the Suzuki conference this year in May. I'm gonna make an effort to actually go to that. My mentor has scolded me more than once for not doing that. So I am gonna go. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going with another, you might know Liz Turtle from Oregon, OSI, the cello girl that teaches. Yeah, so Liz and I are, she's curly hair. So Liz and I are gonna share a room, Minnesota? Something like that. Anyways, we're very excited, because she hasn't been either. We both need to go. So I think that's in the contract as well. Let's see, I don't have it with me, but I'm gonna be giving out a picture release because I just wanna cover myself. I'm trying to get to the next level of the Suzuki training. They give you like little badges and whatnot, and so you become more visible in the Suzuki world, and they might invite you to speak at a conference or bring your kids there or teach at an institute. When you have these little recognitions behind your name. So the next thing I have to do is I have to record some lessons that me teaching, and then I have to submit them. So I'm gonna have everyone sign a picture and video release, so then you know I'm gonna be using that to submit my teaching. All right? So I just wanna let you guys know that. Switching lessons. I know sometimes we've become this very nice family in here, and a lot of you have each other's phone numbers, and sometimes you will call and say, hey, will you switch a lesson with me? Sometimes that throws me off. It could be anything from the way my brain has processed who's coming next. When you teach ages from 3 and 4 through 17 and mid-40s, then it takes a lot for me to switch my brain mentally. And it's like, I look through the day and the next person comes. So when you don't tell me that you switched, it kind of takes me a minute to make that switch in my brain. Also, there are times where I have to cancel someone's lesson, whether I have, to be a mom or whatnot. So if you switch and you don't tell me, then I might have to tell that person, oh, sorry, you switched without me, now you don't have a lesson. So it just makes it tricky. I really would like it if you would ask me to switch instead of texting your friend, can you switch a lesson with me? It just makes it a little easier for me. So there's that. I didn't put that in the contract, but I'm just asking that. The recital did get changed. Apparently there's a football game, and the church is renting out the parking space.
They tailgate there for home games.
Yes. And so Cactus was like, we're making a lot of money.
They do, right?
You can't have it on that Saturday. I was like, how about this Saturday? No, that's another game. Oh my gosh. So I had to move it to a Sunday, and even then they had some events, so it's up at 1 o'clock.
What's the date?
The 17th. It's not on the contract because it got changed after the contract. But I did send an email.
It's already in here.
Because you did it on your email. Good job.
Yeah.
So it is the 17th. It's a Sunday at 1 o'clock. I don't think we have any youth kids, so I think we're okay. All right, my next thing said recital etiquette, but I don't think we can do anything about that. I think we're fine. There was a couple, I know we all are trying to video. I try to hold my video here in front of my head, so I'm not like this, the person behind me or whatever. So try to be mindful at the recitals and not hold it up. And then this is a perfect opportunity for you to teach your children the etiquette of a concert. We are very lackadaisical, so use this time to tell them, no, we can't leave now, we're not clapping now, you have to sit still. Now they're clapping, now let's run to the bathroom. So take these years and the recital times to teach that, because that would be better, especially for the older kids who are trying to get through their piece, and then there's some kids running across the stage or running back to go to the bathroom. All right, and then the group class schedule is there. I sent it out. Did you not get it, Marisa? You might not have been on that blast. You're on. Marisa's on the extra.
I'm on the outside looking in.
Well, the other thing is that Yahoo is very strange. It has the classic Yahoo and the new Yahoo, and I keep trying to figure out how to. I used to be able to go over into my contacts and make a list. And now I can't do that anymore, and it's got a glitch where I can't make a list. So then I have to go through and see who's not on. It's very confusing. So I actually opened a new Gmail, but I haven't, it says I'm 40% done setting it up. So that's gonna be one night. And then I'll send you an email. I'm gonna slowly put everything over to Google, which is hard because Apple doesn't really like Google, and it's gonna be crazy. Anyway. So that's what I need to tell you. Question.
Sorry to interrupt you.
The schedule has changed.
I never know about like when group classes are gonna end. So we have start times, but I don't.
Ending times, right. So
I don't
the first
know
week was a little bit weird because I wasn't quite sure how long I needed for each group. And I can email that so everyone has it in hard. But the free 26, the 7th grade quartet, is gonna go for a half an hour, but they have to be on time because a half an hour is not very much time. I thought about adding another night, but I'm already doing 5 nights a month, so I just figure I should probably whittle it down and keep it at 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm doing five nights. So 6:30 to 7 is the 7th grade quartet. At 7 o'clock, all the book fivers and above. Penelope and Izzy Cobb are sitting in. The music might be a little bit hard for them. They're supposed to be in book 5, but it's not gonna hurt them to sit in and just kind of watch the music. And they will have been there already from their 7th grade quartet. At 7:45, most kids leave, but it's gonna be, 7:50, kind of if we haven't finished, the movement or whatever. So you could pick up by 8 o'clock and they would be ready to go. Unless they are Cassina, Abby Vanderwater, Izzy Niddle, Emma Woodward, Eric Paul, and Eris Alcepian. So that's the top group. No, Elsa is in the middle group with Karis and Elsa, Karis, Rowan, Xavier, and Betsy. That's all in the middle group. So they're done 7:45, 8.
Okay.
If you come by 8, they've already had their social time and they're done.
Okay. Cause sometimes I try to be here and I'm like, oh shoot. And Kara's like, Mom, she needs to leave. Where are you?
She would never, that would never be the case on a Wednesday night because the next group is still rehearsing.
Okay.
Right. They're gonna rehearse till about 8:40, 8:30, 8:40. Okay, does that make sense?
And then for the most part, the individual instrument classes are an hour, right? Group classes are an
Correct,
hour?
so, the little kid, the violin class is kinda weird, it's at 6:30, right? And then it goes until, what does it say on that group class? 7:15, they go to almost 8 o'clock. The advanced violins have their own class now. Did you guys see that? Like, it's just the violins. It's just the violins, the advanced violins. And this year for those kids, I'm doing more of a 3-ring binder, and I'm giving them all my handouts one at a time. So I was telling them that I wished that I had, before I went to college, that I had a stack or a binder or something with all the handouts of the shifting exercises and different kind of bow strokes and all this stuff that's all compiled into one thing. And I just have like random things. So as I'm getting organized, I am getting them organized. When they go off to college, they have a packet. So if they ever need to teach a few lessons to make some money in college, they know how to teach détaché or spiccato. So they have all this. And we're gonna do like practice skills and different quartets, and then we're gonna have audition excerpts and how to play the Don Juan and the fingering of the Don Juan. So when they go to audition for the Philadelphia Orchestra, they can just open it up and say Don Juan, here's my fingers. So we're gonna do things like that for the advanced violin class. Okay? Any questions about that? The cellos are just 1 hour. We had 3 cellists move, so we can't split it up. So the cellists are slowly getting smaller and smaller. I told Lucina, maybe you should stick around here.
Did that work?
No. No, she's looking in Boston. So it's kind of small, but it's great because it's kind of a close-knit group and the kids are really bonding, so it's good. Violas are also one thing all the way across. In the future, after the fall recital, the violas I may let the younger ones go, so then the older ones can stay a little bit longer. We'll do some more technique stuff. That's just for the violas. So we'll stagger it like the violins. Any questions on that? Kind of weird. I'm just trying it out. All right, instrument priority. I say this every year, but I just want to reiterate that when this kind of studio, Suzuki is not something you can just drop off and leave, and very few of you do drop off. It's very important that we remember that I'm running a instrument priority program. So if you have Cub Scout meeting or you have a ballet rehearsal, then group class has to come before that. In order for this whole program to really work, group class is an integral part of this program. And last year it was gangbusters up until maybe the early spring, and then people started dropping off like flies. And I could see it in the Unity, I could see it in the reading, I could see it all across the board, in all ages. And I know the homework thing is an issue for the older kids, but that's part of being organized. Part of it is knowing in their calendar that they have a group class on Wednesday, and they have a test on Thursday, so they better start studying on Monday because they have group class on Wednesday. That's part of growing up and knowing how to organize their time. So I hope you as parents agree with me on that, because I tell Christina all the time, she texts me, do I have to go to group class? Yes, you do. And she says, but I have a test. I don't care, you need to do that. So, I mean, as a parent, I have to warn her, it's in the family calendar, don't give me any lip, you have to be there. It's not, I give her all, it's not fair for you to think you can not come just because you have a test, there's other kids that have other things. And it's especially frustrating when we have families that are driving in from Reedley that are here and getting their kids here on time, or Rowan comes in with his cleats, or, you know, someone comes in with their soccer outfit, or, you know, little Felix comes in his Cub Scout running over, or, you know, whatever, and Sonia and her fencing. So please try to make this a priority, and you will see it in the end, I promise. So push through. Let's see, group lesson. Okay, so next step I was going to talk about is in the lesson. I just want to talk a little bit about what I think it should look like in the lesson. And a lot of you are fine, but there's a few parents that aren't sure, I think, of what your role is in the lesson. Of course, you should be taking notes and listening, but I am seeing more and more, as we get comfortable and we start to know each other, I'm seeing a lot more checking of the phone, a lot more, and it's not phone of videotaping, and it's actually like scrolling through Facebook, and I really want you to be present, and not just me. I want your kid to turn around and look at you, and have you looking at them. And there's been too many times where something magical happens, and I'll turn to look at the parent, and the parent's like this, and I'm like, oh, they missed it. And I'm telling you, the kids will notice that. They notice when you aren't paying attention. And so many times, their eyes will flicker over to you, and it's important that you are really present in the lesson. I understand if you gotta text your husband or your wife, like, oh, we'll be there or whatever, I get that. But I really wanna iterate how important it is that even the little ones, they notice that. They notice when you're not paying attention. So I would just take the phone or just put it in your bag and just leave it there. However, with that being said, it can be a great resource. A lot of parents are recording certain things, and it's helpful when you can go back and refer to what we've done in class. Some parents, Sarah and Barbara, and Jane records the entire lesson. She has for years, records the entire thing, and Angela goes home and listens to it again. So use your phone for those kind of things, but try not to skim Pinterest, and try to really be present there.
Can I say something? I feel like Casey prefers audio recording to actual video footage, but sometimes there's video footage is necessary.
Yeah, I like audio.
Less memory.
I like audio because sometimes the kids, when you're listening to something and there's not a screen to look at, they really have to listen harder. You know, when they only have something to listen to, it's like they have to listen. But there are times where you as a parent might need that little video of what the hand looks like or what the bow is doing. So you have to make that call, what's better. If you're recording the whole lesson, it would be audio. That would be more of an audio, and you can pause it if you want to video something. But yeah, I'm finding myself using the phone more and more, especially for the teenagers. I'm having them listen to this, video this. I have all their phone numbers, I'm sending them excerpts, and listen to this excerpt, do this. And for the most part, the kids are very respectful of me and my privacy with my phone. They only text me when they need to, and that's also a good lesson as I get older and all these kids have phones. How do you text a teacher? What kind of punctuation do we use? And I've only corrected a couple of them. Hey Casey, and I have to correct them. So it's nice to hear from you. When you address your teacher, please use Mrs. Casey or Miss Casey. So I will correct them, just so you know. If they text me about something about violin, but it sounds very much like they're talking to one of their friends, I will correct them, because I correct my daughter. I want her to know the difference of how you text a grown-up and how you text a friend. And I tell you, you need to use punctuation, you need to use capital letters. So just so you know, I do that too. Any comments on that? Just gonna let me talk and just blabber. Okay. All right, so the other thing about a parent role is some parents will interject a little bit too much, and it would be really great if the lesson could just be the student and me. So as much as you want to say, second thinker, or what book is this, or where page are we on, it'd be really great if you wait until I've completed my thought, or we have that connection, and then they're changing the books, and I can turn to you and say, all right, so that was Kreutzer, page 12, blah, blah. Some of you are really good at that, but some of us, it's like you want to be part of the lesson, or you want to interject, or you want to say, I told you, didn't you do it this way? And really, I want them to answer me. I want them to be able to answer my questions. Sometimes I'll ask them, here's a perfect example, I'll ask them, what did you practice? And there are some parents that say, oh, well, we practiced page 24, and it's supposed to be a quarter note equals 25, and I'm like, no. Like, I want the kid to be able to answer me, because if the kid can't answer me, then I know they didn't do it, right? But if they do answer me, then I'm like, okay, yeah, that's clear that they know what the tempo marking is, they know what number they did, but you can kind of tell when I open the book and the student's looking there, and I'm like, so what do you want to show me, what number? And I even know, because I write it down, and I can tell, like, I put the date, I can tell what they're supposed to be working on, and they just kind of look, what's your tempo marking? That I know. So don't answer the questions for them, have them be the one, and have this time be really about us. And then I try to always turn and ask, like, do you have any questions? Is there anything that you didn't understand? You know, and my mentor is telling me that I should have my younger students demonstrate with the parents more. So at the end of the lesson, if we're working on something, my goal is to have, for me to see the parents try that with their students, so I can see to make sure that that's gonna happen correctly at home. So that's on my list of things I'm trying to switch up.
Oh, that's gonna help so much, cause there's been so many times like, oh, you just go like this. I'm
Right,
like,
and then
okay,
it's
and then I
not
go
so.
home and
Yeah. Well, my mentor also tells me that all my pre-twinkle parents should be playing the violin for the first year.
That's what one institute I went to.
And I have been doing that, but at the same time, like, it's different to go along with her and then turn and go before her.
Right,
For
it's
it's
totally
not like
different.
that, it's just different mechanics.
Right. And she has told me multiple times, what do you mean you don't have your pre-twinkles play the violin?
The full book.
Yeah, they're supposed to
Like,
learn the whole book.
volume.
But that really gives you a perspective of how hard it is for these kids, you know? I'm not there yet, but, Amy?
I have just a little question.
Question, guys.
I appreciate all of that, it was great, but my question is this. So as the, kids get older, they just start, Izzy just started 87 books, right? For every
Yeah,
practice.
there's 4.
Every lesson. There's definitely 4. And so, because you want us to take structured notes, and because someone like Izzy, that's really important, I
Right.
like to start it with a header, and then
Right.
say what. So is it possible, because I interrupt you about what book is this all the time, is it possible you could tell us what book we're starting as opposed to what book we just did? So that we can structure our notes that way.
I
Okay,
will-
we're opening Kreutzer,
Yep.
whatever the
Yeah.
hell.
Yep,
Yeah.
I will try to do that.
Because I try so hard to look and then sometimes I miss it, so I'm like, what book are we gonna do?
Right.
'Cause I'm-
Yeah.
I can try to do that. Sometimes I'm blabbing about something else, so
Mhm.
you could just wait and write any notes that you have, and then I'll turn around and say that was Kreutzer, page blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Even if I said slower, metronome, blah, 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 you could still put the header afterwards, just leave space for it.
That's what I really space.
Yeah.
I do get the
But
point.
I
I
could
like
do
to
that.
know. She's like more
I'm
OCD than I am.
Well,
No, I
OCD.
actually have OCD, so that's
I
probably
know.
why.
Yeah.
Like, I have medicine for it, but it's not perfect,
I will do my best.
so,
I will do my best. And we're gonna get more to the lesson note taking here in a minute, but yeah. Okay, video notating program. Alright, and then, since we're on the note taking, I am gonna try with a couple students, it kinda depends on the kid and how neat the handwriting is of the parent. I'm finding that some of the students do not look at the parents' notes at all. But that kind of goes in conjunction with some parents not sitting with their child during the practice. So if the student can't read the handwriting of the parent, that should be fine if the parent is sitting with the child, translating and working with the child anyway, right? Does that make sense? So I kind of go back and forth with that. I listened to a podcast, and part of the podcast was about at what age do you let the student fly on their own with practicing. And I think it's a little bit different depending on the student. It kind of depends on like Hasina was basically on her own at this point. She was getting up too early, going to Computech, and I still had to get Zave up and going, so she was on her own. She was getting up, practicing 45 minutes before school, and Dad wanted to take her to school. Xavier, it's another story. I have to sit down with him every morning or else it's not gonna get done. If it doesn't get done, or if it does get done in the afternoon, it's kind of not even worth getting done. Like he's playing rock songs on his viola or his milestone jazz stuff. I don't even know what he's doing. Or everything is about quarter note equals 250. So I have to sit with him. So it kind of depends on your child. But I can tell some of the kids are not getting enough of the at home, the Suzuki triangle that we need. So if you feel like your child is not progressing, that's probably the one of the things that's not happening. You're not checking in enough, and I still check in on Hasina. I still check in, hey, we're recording. Hey, can you play that for me? So it doesn't matter how old they are, you still should check in. And if they're in book 4, you still should be sitting with them. And book 5 even, Zave's book 6, I still sit with them. So it depends on the kid, but definitely the Suzuki method is the parent is sitting with the child. You are sitting there, you are guiding them through their practice. If you have to make dinner, have them practice in the kitchen beside you. That's really what this program is about. If your child is playing in the other room and you're not present, then they're not gonna get that kind of full practice that you really should do. So we can go more into that, but I have another way to do that too. All right, so that brings me to progression and polishing pieces. I'm feeling a little bit, just with a few students, that the parents are doing a little bit more pushing of getting through the pieces, and we really need to think more about the process rather than the end product. And the whole process of why we're doing this, and we don't need to get through the book as fast as possible. The whole reason why Dr. Suzuki had the idea of reviews, these are specifically made so they piggyback on each other. So each piece has this technique or concept that builds onto the next one. So if you play Song of the Wind and then you never play it again, and then you lose it, then you're not gonna be ready for all the staccato that's coming in book 2. So and the older parents who have kids in book 5 and 6 and 7 can attest to that. They will tell you, something, a kid may get to the book and I can see, they're not doing their reviews, this is not happening. They're not getting this bow stroke, so I'll go back, we need to practice humoresque because the bow stroke didn't happen. So really think about how it's not as important what piece they're on. It's really important the process and all the reviews and how we get there. So I implore you to not push your child. Don't make it about what piece they're on. That's more about you. They don't push them and say, oh, we gotta polish a piece. Yes, it's exciting to polish a piece. Yes, it's exciting when they get there. But if you build it up to the point where they get so depleted when they don't polish a piece, then they think all they're supposed to be doing is polishing pieces. So be more excited when they play Song of the Wind for you. Be more excited when they're in book 4 and they come out and they play Humoresque for you. That was in book 3. Like, that's what you should be excited about. You want them to be in book 7 and go back and play a piece in book 5 and really sound like they're in book 7. Or they're in book 4 and they play a piece in book 2 and it sounds fantastic, right? Okay, so more about the process. Okay, at home, I have some practicing tips. I passed these out, I modified it just a little bit, but is it hot in here or is it just me?
It's very hot.
Go try.
I thought it was the wine.
Open the
That is
door.
all, right, it is.
Christy's dying.
Okay, so I think the biggest thing that well in the studio succeed is consistency. That's why I have the 100-day challenge, the 50-day challenge is coming up. If you do something and it becomes a habit, it's so much easier to get your kid to practice. When it becomes part of your culture in your home, and it doesn't, it's just expected, then when they turn 16 and 17, it's expected. There's no doubt. They come home and they know they have to practice. So make it a habit now, make it consistent, and that it'll pay off in the end for the younger kids. Does anybody have anything to say about consistency? Sarah?
We do the morning practice too. He gets up at 5:50 so that he can practice from 6:30 to 7:10. And we often don't get done, and so then he takes it to school and practices at orchestra or also in the afternoon. But he just knows. He doesn't even ask. He just knows if I don't get it done, then I don't get to do the other things that I want to do, and he does not even question. I mean,
Because he's done it
because
before.
it's just what we do. Like, he wouldn't say, do I have to go to bed today? He also doesn't say, do I have to practice today?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I know the other night we had group class, and David said, I didn't know we had group class. I didn't have to practice today. I was like,
Oh, Asher doesn't know that rule.
don't tell him.
By our house.
Anybody else about consistency? Has anybody not been consistent and then got consistent and could see a big change? Does anybody want to share about that, the difference? Go, Amy.
I mean, I have Adrian, who has ADHD, and so sometimes we're not in a good place with practicing, and sometimes we are in a really good place with practicing. Sometimes it has a lot to do with how she's doing in that period of her life. And when she does practice, and it usually has to be because she's excited about it, and we do see huge amounts of growth, which I think you can attest
Yes.
to. And then for months, she'll decide she doesn't play the violin, and she will be the one who questions, do I have to go to bed today? Do I have to brush my teeth today? That sort of thing. So with her, we kind of try to work through it and keep her moving along, and at least keep her reviewing or doing less practice than maybe is required, and then really take advantage of those times where she's doing well and is really focused and that sort of thing. So, but she's kind of a special
They're
snowflake.
all
Yeah.
a little special.
Little special.
Yeah, but when she engages and when she's excited about pieces, and coming to group class is a big deal for her because she's with friends, and she wants to keep pace with the other kids who are her age and her peers, and so that helps a lot, and that's what we see the most growth.
Right. Yeah, and group classes, that's part of the importance of group classes, having that time when they know they're going to be playing with their other friends. So yeah, it's a big. Anybody else have anything?
I just want to say the 100-day challenges, we always do that to sort of correct consistency. We use that. I mean, also she always practices, but with Emily it's harder. And anytime there's any kind of incentive, kind of dangling, that always gets her right back on track. And so after 100-day challenges, we'll do our own, like, let's do a 30-day challenge, or let's do a 15-day challenge, or whatever it happens to be, just to get her back in that rhythm.
So don't wait for me.
Yeah, we try to do it
Have your own.
throughout the year.
Yeah.
And the 100-day challenge works great for Izzy. We have the same children, and it doesn't work great for Adrian. But what does work is shorter goals. So Adrian, if you can practice every day for 5 days, or if you can practice every day for 10 days, those shorter incremental goals, and then a smaller, kind of reward or gift at the end of that kind of keeps her focused. Not every kid can do 100 days or 200 days or whatever. Some can, and that's fantastic, but I think it's important to, like I know what I'm talking about, to kind of, modify your approach and your expectations and your celebrations based on your unique child. Yeah.
I was gonna add that Lucia's had pretty good consistency, and my Felix just started the pre-training class on Monday. And even though he wasn't that into it on Monday, he's practiced every single day since then. gladly,
yeah.
because it's like, this is just what, he said, do I have to practice? Like, yeah, this is what we do. He's like, okay, and then you just signed out. Right after his sister did it, and so I was like, so that was nice.
Yeah. And that's part about building the culture in your home. Like, this is what we do. You know, we eat, we brush our teeth, we practice. We were gonna make our bed, but that's kind of fun, by the way. I tried.
I mean, it did take Asher a full probably 5-6 years to lock into, oh, she's really not gonna give up. Only 5 years. So, yeah, don't give up.
I feel like with lack of consistency, maybe like periods or whatever, even if it's like not, like so you shoot for every day, maybe you miss one day or whatever, but if there's anything worse than that, especially when they're little, I feel like, maybe it's just my kids, but they lose it so quickly. Like they can lose their momentum so quickly versus building. And sometimes I feel like something new, maybe they'll have a hard day, and then like we push through that hard, like just train something, and then it's like the reward by the end of the week, you finally achieved, like that's so much more comfortable now or whatever. But
You mean whatever new concept that they're working
yeah,
on?
whatever new concept that can be really like whatever it is for that part of a song to get through it. But I feel like at my house where I feel like we are consistent almost always, but our problem is quality practice with the one mom and 4 kind of practicing at the same time.
Right.
So when you're talking about like sitting with each one, I'm like.
Yeah, I just listened to a podcast about multiple families with Stacy Smith. You remember that she was in Utah, at the Utah Institute. She had the short hair, kind of red, kind of a larger woman. She was in charge of a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, Christine Goodner interviewed her, and she has 5 kids, and 5 kids, and she was explaining how she does it in her home, and they were very honest. She was like, it is not always pretty. Just sometimes someone's nose is bleeding, then I gotta run over here, and she's telling me one time the whole kitchen was flooded, and she's like, but they know this is what we have a system, we have a routine. The older boys do it this time, the younger kids know that when they're gone, it's their turn. So I think it's more about consistency and making sure that the kids know that this is our plan, this is how we do it. I think that's, Xavier knows, 6:45, that's the time we're practicing. I don't care what you're doing, I don't care if you haven't got clothes on, I don't care if you haven't brushed your teeth, this is what time we're practicing.
But I would say, so we do the we's practice, we practice. Did you say sometimes you leave Xavier in the morning, and you're like,
because I only have one child,
So that's how I feel like if they're all playing at the same time, and some here and there, it's almost sometimes, even though they put the time in, someone didn't even hold themselves accountable for a lot of stuff, and it was almost like not practicing.
Well, but then you're still building the consistency.
Yeah, we got the consistency. I just need to get the quality
Right.
at home.
Right.
Because I can see, my biggest thing is I can see a huge difference if I sit with even some of my older kids, even like really like whatever, we just work through something.
Right.
It's like 9 days versus
And then maybe you can modify, like earlier in the week you do it that with Penelope, so she can be on her own, like the eldest, and then you work your way down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone has their own, but I think consistency is still the most important aspect.
This wouldn't help just in case of 4 kids practice, because I only have 1, but I have to say the time of day, since Nicole started regular school, we do it in the morning now, it's so much better because I don't have husband coming home, oh, I need a check for this guy, he's gonna come and disc the field, or I don't have business calls, I don't have Wells Fargo on the phone, I don't have anything at 5:30 in the morning, I don't have people texting me at 5:30 in the morning, and it's so nice because there's just no distractions, nobody's coming in and out, the dogs aren't getting lost out of the field, whatever it is, nothing's happening because everybody else is in bed, and it's marvelous because nobody
But
interrupts
that
us.
means you have to get them to bed before 10.
Well, Nicole, she's tired. She goes to bed between 8 and 9 if at all possible. So, and if I'm lucky, Marshall doesn't. We tiptoe past his room and hope he doesn't wake up to hear us. But sometimes he still wakes up.
Yeah, so it's a plan, but I still think consistency is, even if their practice isn't quality practice all the time, it's better than not practicing. You know, the habit of getting it out and doing it, and that's still better. Amy?
I was just gonna say, a couple of years ago, that Aaron and I split up the kids.
You split up? I didn't know I did.
No, we really liked it. We split up the two kids because it was really, really hard for me to do both at night. We both work full time, and then sometimes one of our kids is a little more challenging than the other, and so we split our kids in a way that one parent works really well with one kid and one parent works really well with the other kid. And Aaron doesn't come to the lessons. I still handle both. He doesn't know anything about the violin, neither do I, but just the fact that we're working with the kid who fits our personality, it doesn't mean that I'm sitting with one kid playing, or two kids playing the violin all evening. Kind of gives us more time and works a little better that way. Not all parents can have both get involved, but it did help us out a lot, so it's something to consider.
Yeah. Lisa?
As Abby has matured in her knowledge of music and string instruments, getting a better viola makes her happier.
Yes.
And
It was on my list. Quality instruments.
Much more fun to play with better.
So much better to play. And I know as parents, you don't play, a lot of you, most of you don't play, you're not musicians, or you don't play like a string instrument. And I try to guide you, but sometimes you get an instrument, I'm like, or maybe you started late and I can't help you. But I only once or twice has someone gone and bought an instrument without me, and they come back, I'm like, how much do you pay for this? But as we get going along, I will guide you through that, so don't worry. I will always,
Try to do that.
I will guide you, right? And for your final instrument, you can ask the older kids, I take a trip down to LA, we spend the whole morning.
Take the loan out first.
I'm not taking a loan out for you. I have my own loans. But I will go with you, I will help you pick that instrument, I will help the kids figure that out, and we have a private conversation about budget when that time comes.
But you don't really have a saving budget. Casey used to say.
I give you this much budget.
Plan, save for a range.
Listen to Casey because that's where it doesn't matter.
You can shoot for the low end.
It's like a house remodel. You just, it comes out at 60% over budget.
You're scaring the younger parents, stop. Okay, so, okay. In your practice, across the board, for most parents, I'm not seeing in my students enough repetition. So when you're practicing with your students, if you could do more repetitions, I think the youngest students are the best right now at this. The middle students are the worst. The book 3s and the book 4s, they are the worst at repetitions, and it's kind of the age. So if you can focus more on repetitions, that would be great. I also think that the upper books are not so great either. Like the whole high school, the sophomores and the freshmen, they also are not very good at the repetitions. Because I'll have them come in and I'll ask them for the passage that they were supposed to learn, and they'll play it once, kind of, sort of, then the second time will be a complete mess, and the third time will be a little better, and the fourth time will be better than that. And I'll look at them and I'll say, how many times did you practice this on? Oh yeah, I just played it through and then it was better. But that's not what we agreed on. So it's a constant reminder of repetition. That is part of the Suzuki method. Break it down and repeat it. Do it over and over and over. If you want a great book to read, The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle. It's a fantastic book. It is a must-read. It talks everything about the Brazilian soccer players, the Kenyan runners. Why are these people so good at their trade where they're from and we're not? And it mentions the Suzuki kids. Why are these kids so fantastic at their instruments? It's all about repetition. It's all about doing something over and over and over. And that's why the review is so important. And they already know how to play Song of Wind. But if you can only imagine how many times they're going to have to hop that finger on the violin in their lifetime of playing the violin, you cannot get enough repetitions of that third finger hopping. You just can't. So play that lightly row and play that. All those little things that are built up in book 1 and book 2 are so important. So more repetitions at home, if I can say anything about that. Okay, now, we were talking about practicing. On my list is parent attitude during practicing. I am guilty of this I'm so pleasant with your children. I'm so pleasant to your children, and I love them so much, but I'm not as pleasant with my own. And I'm really working on that. I think I'm getting better, and Xavier is holding me accountable. But reflect on yourself and ask yourself, how is your attitude, how is your tone when it's time to practice? Because we all would probably want to be maybe doing something else until we really get into the moment and like, I should be spending this time with my child and putting this down and doing this, taking the time away from whatever Netflix night you could be doing. So your attitude, as we all know, will greatly, your tone of voice will change, and I see it in my own, will change the tone of your practice. So there are a bunch of podcasts on that. I'll just leave it at that, but I know that if I give myself a warning, okay, I'm gonna have a great practice because I'm gonna be positive, I'm gonna be happy, I'm gonna say more positive things, and I'm gonna be less naggy, I'm gonna treat Xavier like he was one of my students. Because he is.
I found a sentence that works. You might not like it because I throw you under the bus.
Okay, do it.
But I tell him, I thought that sounded so beautiful. We practice in the morning when I'm sitting and drinking my coffee, and I'm thinking like, this is amazing. I get to listen to live Vivaldi music while I'm drinking my coffee every morning. So, and I do communicate that to him, and I'll say, this is so beautiful. I'm so lucky. I don't know that Casey will pass you because I didn't hear the echoes, but I thought it sounded great. and then I just walk out of the room. And I feel like, well, if he chooses, he knows, you know?
Right.
And it's better than, for his personality, it's better than saying, do that again, I didn't hear the echoes.
Right.
You know, it's kind of just like, well, I didn't hear it. If you want past that, you know what you have to do.
Yeah, definitely use me all you can. But the way you word your sayings or your suggestions, you might not notice, but in the Suzuki training, we're always trained to say something positive after the child plays for you. That's one of the first things, and for every class I've taken, they always reiterate that. This is supposed to be a positive, tell your child, tell your student what you liked about that. What is this that you liked, and how did that sound? So maybe you notice, but after every kid plays, I always try to say something great, like, oh, that was really good, or I love your C naturals, or this was great. And then I try to be inquisitive. I wonder if this is okay, or maybe we should try this. So to get them thinking, rather than being, that was too fast, or that was too slow, or that's the wrong note. You know, so think about how you word your words, and try to be more positive when you're practicing, right? Hopefully that if you're having problems practicing, that might help. Your attitude, and you know that kids feed off, even if we come in and we just, there are times I sit down on the couch. I'm horrible. I sit like this. What are you doing? Why? I don't know. Can you just start playing? Fine. Of course you need to poop.
I know.
You know, and my tone is already set the stage for how the practice is going to happen. I've crossed my legs. I've crossed my arms. I'm irritated. I'm hungry. I'm tired. So all that comes into, and then he's kind of like being silly, and then he has to, because he doesn't want to, as a child, he can read all that, and he doesn't want to be a part of that, so why not? So, because I can't tell him no.
But sometimes though Asher will, he starts practice at 6:30, and for 20 full minutes, he will be playing random fiddle songs or, just making stuff up. And so often I find myself telling myself, don't make him stop, don't make him stop. Like, he's having fun right now.
Yeah.
This is what's keeping him with the violin. And so I am sacrificing these 20 minutes and saying, oh, that was cool, when I'm thinking, oh my God, make it stop. and then we'll have to finish practice in the afternoon, but rather than me saying, stop that, focus, like and let him have his fun,
Right.
and then, yeah, we'll finish later, that was cool,
Right.
cause we had fun this
Yeah,
morning.
and you do have to take those moments and let them, because that's very creative, you know. Xavier's playing his piano pieces on his viola and vice versa. You have to let them create.
But not every day.
That was my next thing.
Walking around the house by them for 20 minutes.
That was my next thing.
Whatever.
It can't be
and
every
then
day.
putting it down and then picking it up and then 3 hours
Yes.
till I'm gonna start it.
Yes.
Every day.
Right.
But you've got thoughts.
Okay, so I put on here the triangle. Just remember that there's 3 pieces, and I think of course the teacher and the parent, that is happening because you're here. But I feel like some of us, the home parent-teacher is not always happening. And even when your kid is 17, you're still the parent. You still should be saying something like, that sounds really great if they're practicing for Allstate. You should be still checking in. Ooh, you have your Allstate? I hear you're practicing Allstate. Come and play it for me in 15 minutes. You may not know what's great and what's not, but just having them play for you, that shows them that you care and you're interested and you know they're working on an Allstate music, right? So don't just ignore the fact that they're practicing in the other room. Let them know that you're listening, let them know that you understand how hard it is for them to prepare these excerpts and you're gonna record them next week, right? So,
I have something on that.
be part of that triangle. Don't let that fall out at any point in the Suzuki these next 10 years. Do not let that part come out. You are still the home teacher.
Right, so because we've done Suzuki all along and I've always sat with her, sometimes like I usually like hit her hard the first few days after a lesson, you know, and then she said, up, down on the 3 measures from the second line, and right, and then she's like, oh, Mom, I know, I was there. Right. But so if I want to, so like, hey, just go practice, I'll kind of listen to you. Mom, come and sit with me. Come and sit with me. Come and sit with me, I'm practicing. So, and then like, when is your 14-year-old gonna want you to come and sit with them, right? So it becomes like really great. So, yeah.
Just how bass players drag their instruments to the kitchen and play.
Oh,
while
it's
you're
all over
cooking
the house.
too, yeah. I mean, violins, it's easy to walk through the house.
Right, because we have to see where the light's better.
It's too big to hold.
Okay, so the last thing at the at-home section is listening. I know some of you are guilty of not listening enough. So, I say this all the time, but I'm telling you, you will see a difference. You will see a difference in the progress. You will see a difference in the way they match pitch. You will see the way in their intonation. You will see a way in the way that they articulate their sounds. The more they listen, they will be better across the board. I can tell a kid who's not listening so quickly. They will play a piece and they will play the wrong note over and over and over. And then I will simply just play it correctly and they'll look at me like, and then they'll try like, oh, this note's wrong, and I've only played it once for them correctly. So I beg you to please make it a habit. Put on the CD whenever you can. In the car is not enough. They don't spend enough time in the car. You have to get it. They should be listening to it the whole time. When they get, and this is throughout all the books, when Hasina got out of the books, she was working on some concerto, and she would loop it, she would download it, and she would loop it at night. And people ask, how did you memorize that 6-page concerto? She's like, I don't know. Well, I know, because she listened to it every night for 3 months.
Yeah, so Ro, like the big dude Rose, he just does everything on his phone, because we all know our kids are completely addicted to phones, right? So, although Ro really isn't, well, he is. But they put all of his music on his phone. And there's never any excuse.
Right, there's no excuse. And I tell you, I can tell.
All the time.
I can tell the kids who are not listening. Either they're lagging, either their intonation is not as good, either their articulation is not on point, or simply I go to teach a new piece and the rhythm is wrong and the intonation is not right, or they're playing in a different key, they're playing all C naturals, so all supposed to be C sharps. On the flip side, the kids who are listening, I'll tell them, hey, let's start this piece. They kind of look at me, this one? I don't know this one. No, let's just try it. And many times I will play it. They're not even, some of them are not even great readers. I will play a section and they will automatically play it back for me. They have never played it before, they've never seen it before. It's all internalized. So I'm telling you, if you do anything this year, get on the listening wagon. It's really gonna make a difference. All the top kids in the studio who are doing really, really well, they are the top listeners. You know who those kids are. They are the top listeners. They're the ones that never, ever miss their listening. So if you really want to see a change, put the listening as part of your every day. It really does need to be every day. Put it on at night. If you listen, when you listen, because my Xavier just turns on at night and he lets it play through. Sometimes I go back in and I put it on repeat and I play it again, even when he's sleeping, because he can hear it. His ears are open. He still hears it. So that's when he listens.
Homework time is good.
Homework is great. It should be. It's better if it's the same time. The brain starts to process when that is, and the brain will start listening. Even if it's passive listening, you'd be amazed. Does anybody have a time when they listen?
Like after dinner.
Just put it on. So try to find a time, either when they wake up in the morning, turn it on. When they go to bed, turn it on. Usually read, and he'll turn it on right before he goes to bed.
Question. So if you have kids that are in different books, I have an almost done with book 1 and I have a book 4. What should we be listening to when, and how to incorporate that like as a family listening? So if I'm playing it in the kitchen or if we're doing something or in the car, like what should someone who's almost in another book be listening to, and how do we put that together? What about
if they're in book 1,
books
they're still in book. You just listen to book 1. If they're finishing the last piece of book 1, they should already be listening to book 2, right? So they should, and it should be every day. Book 4, in book 4 is like the biggest book for violins. So that book should be played by mid-book 3, just not like all the time, the whole book 4. I really think book 5 is easier than book 4.
So should they be listening to it separately?
Yeah,
so
each kid to their own book.
Right. So say we're on a long trip or something like that. Sometimes we'll play stuff, or just like while we're at home, while we're cleaning or something like that. Then I'll put on spooky music. Like just, I guess I since I don't know what I'm doing, I need specific like. How many songs around the one you're working on should you be
The entire book.
to? And so say like Adrian's on Gavotte.
The entire
how
book.
Much of
Book 1.
How much of 2?
All of book 1. She should still be doing all of book 1 until we get to the point where she's almost memorized like a Gavotte, and then start just playing book 2.
All the time. And so Izzy was on 4.
All
we just
book 4.
not do 3 anymore?
Nope, only book 4.
Only book 4.
She's reviewing book 3, 2, and 1. And she's only listening to book 4.
Okay.
So you're listening to the book that you're in.
Yeah. Okay. So we listen to the book that they're in.
Yes.
So now we're listening to Viola, book 1.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, I know it seems silly, but does that affect Luke, listening to a different notes?
Maybe in a good way, but he should still be listening to violin.
He is, and he's listened to that for years now because
it's just,
Zoe.
It's going to be in a different keys when we're in a different key, but it's not the end of the world.
It's just not like.
Yeah. He'll learn Bohemian folk songs with him.
Yeah, okay.
He'll start playing some viola pieces on the violin. It'll be great.
Yeah. I was thinking he might be confused.
Nah.
But yeah, they don't.
No.
Jane will play cello pieces on her violin.
Yeah, Jane plays French folk song all the time.
Okay.
She can't get all the notes because they don't all line up. She'll cover. She's like, wait, what's.
But can you imagine what's happening in her brain as she's thinking about that and hearing that and it's not quite right and just figuring that out? Fantastic. Okay, so the Suzuki Association of America, they have it's like a membership. You could be a membership, because they have so many things online. I should tell you, you should all be a member. You should all be a member of the Suzuki Association, and then you will get a magazine in the mail, and they have lots of online resources as well. So I think it's $25 a year, but it would behoove you to maybe look into that, being a member. If you have not read Nurture of Love in a while, I would maybe pick it back up. Kind of resets your brain. It's a great book. Institute. If you flip over the paper, I think it has some importance of Institute. And I just want some people who go to Institute to kind of give us a little, what's your favorite kind of thing. Mike, what's your favorite about Institute?
Side trips. Side trips.
Yeah.
The wine tasting side trips?
Right, yeah. No, it's just, I like how the kids really bond, as a community and how the parents bond. That's, for me,
The Goodwill was my favorite this year.
Goodwill.
Goodwill. That's on point.
Right? Newburgh Goodwill was the bomb this year. Found some good deals. Okay, Institute. How about Stephanie?
Same, I like that. I just, I specific the Oregon Suzuki Institute, it's probably my kid's favorite for sure. And, I like, the bonding that happens between the kids. And then also the bonding, if you kind of tend to go every year, they see some of the other same kids and so they just rekindle those friendships right up. And I like the food, that it's, like this meal plan and the food's actually really good. And then I like that there's just this institute in Oregon specifically, it's kind of this old town feel where the kids used to kind of, in the evening after dinner, the kids would run the streets, but they're not running the streets, it's just, they're all playing games, like, no one's sitting around on any iPads or anything like that, it feels like this old neighborhood play kind of community, which I didn't get when we went to, Utah, because it wasn't a stay there, everyone left and went home and stuff like that, so, but, and then
You
there's.
want to give a little bit more about the differences between Utah and, I mean, they're completely different institutes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are aware, institutes are all over the nation, and there's international ones. 1 year, we went to Idaho, and then right afterwards, we went to Oregon. There's a bunch of us that did both of those. But particularly, talk a little bit about the differences between the Utah, it's called Intermountain Suzuki String Institute, as opposed to OSI, which is Oregon String Institute.
Mm-hmm.
So we did both. Stephanie and I did the Utah one, and then I went up and did the Oregon one with a bunch of others. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, as far as my kids go, they all prefer Oregon, although, and the change at first they're like, what, none of this is in Oregon, and this isn't, you know what I mean? And they warmed up and they all had a good experience. Utah happened to be all pretty much one building. There was another adjacent building. You were just in this building and it was multiple levels, and so, whereas, Oregon has multiple buildings on the campus, but it's a pretty small campus, and after your first year, you're like, your kids can practically go all the buildings themselves because you're so familiar with the place. Beautiful, green grass, things like that. They both had quality, master class teachers, and they have, I mean, it sounds silly, like Casey, you go, she kind of pushed, I felt like, my kid's really young, and I don't think they need extra classes to add on and pay for extra elective classes. That seems like such a long day, and she's like, no, they need to do elective classes, and we did it, and it's kind of sometimes their favorite part, like the origami class in Oregon. It's fun to do that with you can go in and sit with your kid if you don't have a bunch of kids there, you have to meet all their master's classes and they can't go. There's a folk dancing class in Oregon that just makes, person you are, makes your heart sing. I mean, it's just so darling, actually learning. And then there's, marimba for the kids who are older, or things like that. If you had time in your schedule, you could sign up to do some of these things too. I don't know what else to say. We love the dorms, there's multiple places to stay. There's this basic dorm, then you can get a little more privacy, sharing, I don't know what you call them, and then there's all sorts of levels of whatever. I find my kids just like being in the dorms because a bunch of kids are there, and then I like where they play, you can actually see them, and sometimes be in your dorm looking down through the window if you go. I don't know, I'm really comparing them. Well, I didn't talk that much about,
I think when we went to Utah, it was crazy because it's so many more students.
That's right, there are a lot more students.
And
Yeah,
so it's
Utah's
like,
about 600.
yeah,
700, 750.
it was huge.
Oregon's about 200.
So in Utah, it was like all the kids who are 9 years old and playing this Vivaldi piece are in the same group class. Whereas in Oregon, it's like this range
All
of
before.
yeah,
Like
all
top
before
and
in the
bottom
same
end of the
group.
book sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think
and
that's
so-
my favorite part of the institute is the cross age stuff that goes on. The kids look up to the older kids, and the older kids really are sweet with the younger.
They are.
And sometimes, the
Yeah.
others are doing a little more than the older. It's really, really sweet.
Yeah.
It's a great environment to see them all on the stage, all playing the same songs, to
Yeah.
see kids of, levels, and it just kind of like, oh, there are all these kids out here doing what I do. And we have that in the studio, but to see it going on and, it's motivation. Plus they kind of come off. So we went, on one of ours, we did the institute, I guess it was this summer, went to Utah, and then, we did something where, what did we do, Jordan? I don't remember, but, my kids went to a camp that was like, it was a church camp, and so it wasn't a take your instrument camp with you. Like, we go camping, we could bring our instrument, or we go on a family vacation, we could bring our instrument and keep practicing it, but it was a church camp, and it was just, there was, you gotta run those kids ragged, otherwise they're gonna get into trouble, right? So like, they didn't bring instruments, and I was like, oh, we got home from that, and then I feel like all the momentum you build up at this institute from all the repetition they do in all their classes throughout the day, plus all the fun things, which they probably prefer that part, but it creates great momentum. Unfortunately for us, we went to a solid week for some of them of not touching the
But I,
instrument, kind of lost some.
Like Penelope really enjoyed that drama class she took. That was really good. Cute.
Yeah, but kind of got dancing.
And they have a pre-twinkle class, so if you have a younger sibling, a lot of them have pre-twinkle classes. I think the biggest difference between Utah and Oregon is, like you were saying, Utah, you don't stay on the campus, it's at a high school, so you have to find separate housing. Dave and I stayed in an Airbnb. It worked out pretty well, but I also had to rent a car, so the cost kept
You gotta make your own
elevating.
meals.
Right, we make meals,
so
pack
it's
food. Whereas Oregon is pretty affordable because all the housing is included, and the meals. You just have, it's like 125 for an adult for the week?
For a dorm room, right?
It was less than $2,000 for a family.
Yeah, less than 2,000 for a family that's a whole week of food and housing and all the classes for
Including
2
extra
kids
classes.
and extra classes.
And it could be a little cheaper because you didn't stay in the dorms.
We stayed in the suites.
Mhm.
The best part of Oregon is that we're all there together.
That is the best part.
Yeah, because we play foursquare all night.
Right.
And, all of our kids can
Right.
hang out.
There's some wine
we can hang out
tasting,
over
there's some
there, and-
shopping.
Which I think if you're a newer family too, it's kind of nice because I went and I was like, I don't really, those people are like this, and then eventually it really helps
Right.
you bond in.
Right. Okay, so if you have questions about institutes, those are the people you should ask, the people who have been. If you haven't, I highly recommend that you go. It's really, for me, I want to see my students working with another teacher. You can't get any better than that. Things that I'm like, oh crap, why was I not doing that? Like, I need that, it's fantastic. And then for you to see that I actually know what I'm doing, that's also there.
It's good for the kids to hear. You tell them over and over and over, watch your angle, watch your lane 3, and they go there and somebody says it one time.
And then they do it.
Yeah.
That also has happened many times.
No.
Have you ever heard that before?
Never
No,
heard
I'm
that.
like.
And I would say when just promoting Oregon, particularly because it is my kid's favorite place, that my husband started going with us the last couple years because he would stay home and work, and he can kind of, he has the type of work he can pick it up and work from any place kind of, for the most part, and he felt like he was missing out because we were doing these
You didn't go?
fun trips and talking about these things and doing the origami classes and stuff like that.
Right. Well, same thing as Juan, I needed Juan because I had Xavier and I needed someone to go with Xavier into his
Yeah.
master class and Asina, and then all of a sudden Asina was old enough and Zave's old enough and Juan's like, yeah, I'm still going. Okay, we're all going. So yeah, it's nice. It becomes more of a community.
And you can find other stuff there, which is what I learned. So we've gotten out and maybe we missed 1 year, but like you can find other things in the area because I have 2 other kids that don't play string instruments. And so like there's
soccer camp, right?
there's
There's
yeah,
soccer
yeah.
camp?
So Caden my oldest went to University of Portland and then Oregon State and did soccer soccer camps the same week, and you can kind of make other stuff around. Yeah, because you don't have, like, I don't know, all my kids don't play. Yeah, and my husband can't take off work and leave, and so it's just me, so I take all the kids with me. But you can find things in Oregon, you can't find them necessarily. I'm sure you could in Utah too.
Anyway, sometimes, especially dads,
Totally can.
think that they need a break from violin, and that we can't do a violin trip every single year or this or that or the other. So we went twice to Oregon, it was great. And then Aaron Cobb thought something very silly, we should do something that's not violin related. We should skip Oregon this year, we can do it the next year. And he missed it so much. And he, I mean, the whole time that you guys were there, he was like, we can do it. And so, despite the fact that we want to do other additional vacations, Mexico was great, we're not going to miss Oregon again, because sometimes when you take a step away from it, you kind of realize how much you're getting out of it.
Right.
And even someone who doesn't like to do things or spend money, like Aaron Cobb, really realized how much that we as a family were getting out of it. Not just the music, but the other. It was recorded. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So
I don't think
You would
that,
say the same.
I don't think the kids realize how much they're learning either. They're having so much fun, and they don't really realize how much they're playing hours and hours a day, and they're like, oh, but now it's lunch, woohoo! Anyway,
Now I get to say I told you so.
yeah, I really think that if you don't do institutes yet, you will. Okay, other child. Oh, and the other thing I could throw in, there's not a lot of places where you can go on vacation and feel like you can release your children to go to class on their own or cross the
They get a
footbridge,
big sense of independence at a young age.
which is so important
And
in
the
this
conflict.
society today.
Resolving conflicts between all the
On
kids
their
on
own.
their own.
Yep. They have to figure out what their schedule. We help them their schedule, and then their class is done. They look at their schedule. Now I'm going to Women's 12. They go to Women's 12 and check in, make sure they're there. But the sense of independence that the kids get from a young age is really invaluable. And the older kids, they have their keys, and they have their dorm rooms, and their meal card, and see you, Mom. I'll see you at the recitals. You know, they just feel like they are in charge. And I have no worries with Hasina going to institutes since she was 2 years old. When she goes off to college, like she's gonna get it. This is how the dorms work. This is how you figure out your meal plan. This is how you go places. It's gonna be so much more comfortable for me too. Okay, enough of that. I did write down keep connected with podcasts and SSA videos. I think that's important. If you're having, if you need more resources, I'm telling you, there's like 3 podcasts that are out there that are really, really good. I'm gonna give this to you. You can put it up somewhere. Yes, it's on the calendar. Is it on my contract, I think?
Okay.
Should be on the contract, too. The Oregon dates are on there.
Oh, it's in here. 22nd.
It's the last week in June.
Not leading up.
So not leading up to the show.
Yeah.
And they used to leave it before
So the week before Oregon is Utah usually, but I have a crew of kids that I'm hoping we can get to Carnegie Hall this year. I'm just waiting for the dates to be released, because if the dates are on Oregon, I'm out. I'm doing Oregon, because I will not miss Oregon. And I'll look into another way to get over there, or another date. They have different dates. But just so you know, if your kid is in 6th grade, 7th grade, or 8th grade, I probably already talked to you about the whole Carnegie Hall getting over there for that. But I don't know the dates. They haven't released them yet.
Who has
so.
different dates? Carnegie has different dates?
Yeah, they throw different dates. There's some spring break. There's some.
I think it's
summer.
out.
They just sent it in
Yeah,
the
I
mail.
think it's out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I know. Sorry.
Well, the
I'm
ones,
thinking
the high school ones.
not.
The high school one is,
Sorry.
the high school one, I got the high school one from Messina.
Oh, maybe
But
that's
the
why.
middle school one is.
Sorry, you're right. Because
The high school one, yeah, there's a European one
Sorry.
for high school and then a Carnegie one.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, we're thankful. Go ahead.
The travel, how does the kid, you have to bring your own instrument, you do record?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for these institutes, rarely do you have the opportunity to rent an instrument. You have to bring it, that carry it. we always drive to Oregon. Juan always drives to Oregon. And Steve and I are coming from somewhere else, and we fly and meet him there, and then he also drives us home. But I don't even want to think about how much money I've spent on cello airfare. But for Oregon we do drive.
How long is that drive?
Hey Juan?
11 hours.
13
12?
hours.
Juan does it at 12?
In the middle of the night, right?
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
drive it in 2
Yeah.
I like 2 days, and she drives it in 1.
Juan, what's the drive to Oregon? 12?
Straight?
Yeah.
That's about 13.
We've done it both ways, staying overnight and doing it in 1.
Yeah, that one year, I guess, was it this year we stopped or no?
On the way back, we stayed
Oh
overnight.
yeah, we went to the Shakespeare Festival, and we stayed there, and we, with Anna and Mike and Lucy Niddle, we saw a Shakespeare play, and got up the next morning, and we just broke it up this year. So you can do that. The Shakespeare Festival is, I mean, the show is always great. Okay. So I was just gonna briefly, I don't know if there's any questions, Juan, will you bring me the red tin can? I gave you the non-musical benefits. We could go through it, or you could just read it on your own. Thanks, honey.
This would be a good thing to hang on the fridge, put in
Yes.
the bedroom.
Yes. Or in the front of a binder for a kid, high school kid or whatnot. I just want to remind you of why we're doing this. I hate to bring it to you, but probably none of your children are going to play in the Philadelphia Symphony.
I'm out.
And probably none of them are going to get into Juilliard. But I just want to remind you that's not why we're doing this. Fortunately, a lot of these students are doing really well, and it's very exciting to see how well they're doing. But this list is supposed to remind you of why we're doing this. It's not to pass the next book. It's not to get into All-State. It's not to get first chair at honor orchestra. All those things are great, but this is really why we do this. So if you need a reminder, here it is. You can add to it. Send me an email if you thought another one. I'll just keep adding to it. This is actually an assignment. It's another thing I wanted to tell you. This was an assignment that I had to do for one of my classes. By the way, if you don't know, at these Suzuki Institutes, many times I'm dropping quite a bit of cash to learn from other master teachers, and we have to do assignments. A lot of the teachers have taken lessons from Dr. Suzuki when he was alive, and blah, blah, blah. And so we have to do assignments like this and go through a book. We fine tooth through a book, like up bow, parts of the bow, blah, blah, blah. How do you teach this? What review piece is this piece based on? We had to do all that kind of stuff. And then we get random assignments like this. And I thought this was a great assignment. And we all had to come up with 10, and then a lot of them were the same, and then we compiled it into one. And so then we had it to hand out to our parents, which was a great assignment. So I thought that was really, really cool. But I just wanted you to have that, put it somewhere, talk to your kids, remind them. I don't know if work ethic is on here, but I feel like the more I see society today, I'm kind of disgusted with the work ethic of some of the millennials and what they don't do and what they can't do and how inept some people are. And I really think that learning an instrument is really changing. Can change a child, change a person, and their work ethic. When you have to practice every day, and either you're getting up in the morning, or you have to stop your homework to make sure you get your practice in, or whatnot, or come to lesson on time, and blah blah blah. That's really adding to a student and a child's and an adult a work ethic, and I think that's important in society, especially in today's age. And then I thought I'd throw one more thing in. Christina is applying for colleges right now, and UHS is great about helping them get all this information and whatnot. And she said to me, Mom, I feel really bad for some kids. And I was like, well, why? What? And she said, well, what if they don't have all this music stuff? What do they do? Some of the choir kids, they don't have, what for all their stuff? And I was like, I don't know. She goes, well, I've looked at a couple of my friends that are like in choir, they don't have much. Like I have honor orchestra and all state, and I do all these institutes, and I coach for the group classes, and I, help with the camp. Because, all your kids, as they get older, if you don't know, I have them come and help the kids at camp or at group class, and and I give them hours, community service hours, so they can put that on their college application, that they're helping. And she plays in the symphony, and she plays in the local community orchestra, and she plays in the reading. So she has all these things that she's doing. And she was concerned. She was like, some of these kids, what are they putting down? I was like, I don't know. So that's another thing that, as you get going, I have created for each one of my kids like a little resume. And each year they get into honor orchestra, you add the year. So as she finished, she has like a resume. She won this competition, I put that on there. She made All-State, I put that on. She was first chair All-State, put that down. So have something that you're compiling on your computer that you're adding, so you remember what year they've done that and what year they did this, and you can go back.
I should be so much more organized.
That's what it helps.
You go, tell me again in 4 more years. Just tell me now again
Okay.
exactly what you did.
So anyways, I just wanted to share that, because I thought that was kind of insightful on her part. Someone in messy handwriting. How do you explain to our kids why they are more advanced than other kids at their school? Hashtag privilege. Yeah, so feel free to chime in. I've had this conversation with my children a few times. Xavier will say something like, these kids can't play, and I have to remind him, well, they haven't had lessons since they're 2 years old, and if they do have lessons now, it might not be structured, and maybe their mom is not the music teacher, and I try to give them, and maybe they don't have this multi-$1,000 instrument. Like, you have to think about all that, and try to be helpful. Why don't you, offer suggestions? Does anybody have anything you can put in with that? Because I know, especially in middle school age, they can get a little sassy and saucy with how awesome they are. Because they are awesome, because they work so hard. So I try to remind them, you've been working your ass off for quite a few years now, because I made you. Remember all those times you were mad at me? You're welcome. So remember that.
I always tell my kids there's always somebody better, so you just be careful.
I love the saying in the orchestra room. What is that? It's my favorite saying.
You better practice because somebody else.
Yes.
Right.
Wait, what?
Keep practicing because somebody else.
Yeah, if you're not practicing, someone else is, or something.
They will win.
Yes.
Say it again, part of it?
If you're not practicing, somebody else is, and when you meet them, they will win.
Yeah, that's good.
That is true across the board, no matter what you do.
No matter what you do, right?
Well, I was gonna say something, because I deal with students at all levels, and so, some students are dismayed on the opposite end, right? They come in, they love their instruments so much, but they struggle with it. And so we do a lot of work with students about not just looking at music, but looking at everything that you do, right? We have a national champion baton twirler.
Started practicing the other day.
And so it's like, you can show your students, like, you're amazing at this, but go try to throw a baton, like, it'll hit you in the head. Like, so, I think something that I like to think about is showing respect to everybody's talents, because there's so many, and you could be playing an instrument for 10, 12 years and still be terrible at that.
Right.
But then, you could be amazing at other things and stuff you just don't even know. So,
Right.
And that's.
I just don't know, like, it's hard. I don't know, I hope I did it right, but I wonder what I should how I should explain that to my 12, 13-year-old. Yeah, are we privileged? Yes, we have things that not everybody has. You have to think about, how lucky you are that you have this, and, don't make fun or poke fun at the kids who don't. Instead, try to help them. Give them, a hand up. Show them what a fingering is. Show them what a down bow is. So I don't know. Maybe encourage your children, or remind your children that this is not. I always tell my kids, this is not normal. You know that. Like, it's not normal to have lessons every week. Not everybody has that.
Or I'll tell Asher, like, it did take you 2 years to learn how to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So the fact that these kids got got their instrument last week and are now starting to play Twinkle Twinkle. That's great. They're progressing faster than you did. So it's progress.
He was too.
You don't have to give all the
Just
details.
saying. So, first of all, I would say that handwriting is more artistic than this. But this came out of my morning carpool with the tweens, where I take 4 tweens to Computech every morning. Your child's lovely, you don't need to worry about it. But there was a conversation in the van talking about the other students in orchestra and band and about how they were a fake or they, sucked or, something like this. And it wasn't our children. And I took that opportunity to talk to them about how they talk about other kids. Because in middle school they're starting to get into this, snippy, I don't like it. And so, I said, I think Izzy was appalled that I jumped in, but I said, just think about how hard you work at this, and then there are some pieces that are really hard for you, maybe for some reason, or maybe it's a piece that you haven't played before, or you just make a mistake or something like that. And if someone else heard that and was talking about you the way that you're talking about these kids, how would that make you feel? Because everyone's gonna have an off day or whatever, but you work really hard and it would hurt you and make you feel embarrassed if you knew that other kids were talking like this. And they got behind that, and then at the same time, talking about how lucky our kids are that they have all of these things, and how it's important to just remember there are gonna be things that you struggle with, there are gonna be things that other kids struggle with. So for me, it wasn't as much about hey, someone's gonna be better than you at something. It was, hey, you should strive to be a good person in the way that you approach this, in the way that you're talking about your peers and that sort of thing. And so it was a really good conversation. I called Casey right afterward and I was like, look, middle school has arrived and I don't like the way these, kids are talking.
Middle school has arrived.
And, I told Stephanie I made them all put their phones away in the van on the way out there just so that they could talk to each other. But just addressing the way that they're talking about the kids that they're with, and talking about so-and-so as first chair, but she's a fake, and I said, I don't want to hear any of that nonsense. I don't know what that means. Like, no one's a fake or a real or whatever. Be kind to these other people and, be a good person, not just a good violinist, that sort of thing. So.
Which is part of the whole Suzuki method. For
Exactly.
creating good citizens.
Right. Sorry, ma'am.
Alright, I'm done.
I would take a moment to just, when we went to Nashville Suzuki Institute, because we can't ever make the Oregon one, and Zoe witnessed a lot of kids playing pieces, whether they were more advanced than her or in her own book, that were not the way.
Not good.
They're not
You
polished.
just say it.
Yes,
Not polished.
They're not polished. And after our first morning, we were at lunch, and she's like, "How come they got to pass to book 2 and it just doesn't sound good and all this?" And I was like, basically she was putting down the other kids,
Yeah.
like that sounded terrible. And yes, and I said they probably don't have a mom who spends their Friday nights talking about them. And spending hours with you. They don't, they probably, so I'm like, okay, how about us too? It's not because you're so great. I was like, they're teachers, just let them pass. Right. Teachers just let them pass. And, I was like, if we didn't have me to make you practice, you'd be the same way.
It's like you have all of these different, you've been working for years, you have a good instrument, you have a really great teacher, you have all of these other things, you have a stable home life,
Right.
that sort of thing. And these are all the things that these other kids may or may not have. It doesn't matter if they're better or worse than you, I don't wanna hear you talking about other kids like that.
Middle school has arrived.
It has arrived.
It has arrived. But I will tell you that all the high school kids that get in the car, they know my rule. If I have to take them to rehearsal or whatnot, there's no phones in they can't get their phone out in my car.
Good.
In case you ask, in case they say something to you, they're not allowed to look at their phone in my car, just so you know. How do we keep practice fun when? What? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I haven't read it all. Go. No, it has to do with this, you should say now. before we change topics? No?
I'm sure it's fine.
Okay. How do we keep practice fun when the mention of time to practice is met with a complete mood swing and usually lots of tears? Yes. So I from the parent perspective, yeah. I find that when I was less consistent with Sabian, the tears were more frequent. The pooping was more frequent. The tears, the excuses, the my stomach hurts, my head hurts, or when he just started practicing and it was like a disaster, like he wasn't even trying and it was just, and then I was getting frustrated because he wasn't trying and it was, that usually for me that stemmed on consistency. When we made it at a certain time and there was no like trying to squeeze it in here, or try to squeeze it in there, or try to do it here, or try to do it there.
We had tears regardless.
Yeah, and I'm just saying for me, it was more about consistency. At the beginning, when Sina was more in her tear phase, it was more because of this between the two of us. And then that's when I realized, I can't teach her, this is not gonna work out. And I think part of it was my attitude and my approach. The other thing that you could really think about is kids want to feel like they are in charge. So you give them the idea of what time would you like to practice tomorrow? How would you like your practice structure to be? Let's make a list of what we need to do, and do you want to switch up the list? If they are feeling like they're more in charge, that might work out.
And along those lines, sometimes I'll just say, all right, well, let's just roll the dice. As long as I'm not the one in charge, it doesn't have to be her.
Right, as long as they feel like they are making some of the choices and it's not just you, it's time to practice. I also found that with Sabian when he was younger, I had to warn him. Remember we agreed at 3 o'clock? Well, it's 2:30. Okay, 3 o'clock is in 15 minutes. Wrap up what you're doing. It's 2:55. I'm gonna go sit in the practice room. So, I mean, I had to do many
I had to make so many dumb games.
Sarah made a lot of games. So, depending on the age, lots of games. And for Hasina, all the way through, I'd say, probably through 6th grade, I had lots of small incentives. She wanted to get a pedicure. I would say, that's fine, you gotta practice every day this month. And we'll go get a pedicure. I'll drop $20 for a pedicure. Like, little things like that. So, I would just kind of do these little spurts of, and then I use them. You know, she's like, I don't want to practice. Okay, well, we could start over next month. Okay, well, I'm going to practice in 2 minutes. Great idea. So she's in charge of when that's going to happen. And really, they just want to spend time with you. If you really think about it, they just want to be with you. So they will throw tears and do whatever, but if it really comes down to take this time to really bond with your child. Make it a time, all 5 of them.
No, that's what I'm saying. I was gonna say that when I went to the Oregon, no, so sorry, my head can't pull words out.
Wait, hold on to that.
Yeah.
Use your resources. There are lots of podcasts that answer this question differently. There are tons of podcasts out there. Christine Bigner has a podcast. What's her name? Practicing Star or something. She has a podcast. Just look up Suzuki. There are tons of podcasts that will give you ideas to practice. At Paula Bird.
Yes.
Lots of different age groups. Edmund Sprunger has a book. Yeah, there's
He's not a nice person.
not a nice person, but he's smart. He's a psychologist. Yeah, kind of an a-hole, but yeah, smart. Okay, go.
At Utah, they have this store where Casey buys a lot of stuff for her, a lot of the cooler stuff, I'd say. Even, and they had these practicing cards, and so this is more to the younger kids, but I got this deck of cards, and it has all the song names all the way up through, I don't know how many, like maybe it's just book 1 and 2, and then you can buy a different deck for 3, whatever it was. But for Jane, that is like, we get the cards, she's gonna practice out every day, and then we just, she's grabbing, and I found we were doing one at a time, and then she's putting her bag down every time in between, and it's a little bit there's too much downtime for her, and so now we just pick 3 cards, we'll flip them over, those are the next 3 songs we're gonna play play, so then there's a little more playing without taking a break between playing as much. And so it's like it's a little bit of an in charge, or she can be like, you pick one. Sometimes she wants me to pick one, or sometimes she's gonna pick, or we take turns or whatever, but for us, it's helped.
Yeah, and as I get older, as I get older into grade school, you have to use money, unfortunately, or candy. But you could put things on, money, quarters. They love quarters. They come here and spend quarters, and then I buy them pizza. So put quarters out, and start with a bunch of quarters, or I'm gonna pay you to practice, or make it a game. So you have to change it up, because the cards are gonna last for a while, and then they're not gonna work. You gotta keep doing something else. But we are gonna go in these we're gonna go in these little hills. It comes and it goes. And even in high school, I see it. I see the kids in high school, they'll be going for a while, and then they'll come in, and I'm like, why are we on the same little part? A2 for 4 weeks in a row. Like, what is going on? And then I have to have a little talk, like, well, how are you practicing? Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you, so I would say use your resources too.
Sometimes it's just because they're 40.
They're 40 and a 10-year-old body. That's not funny. Okay, so last but not least, my mentor. She does individual parent-teacher conferences, and she explained to me the value of that. I can't talk to you enough in class about your child when your child's there, and I can't talk to you now about your child. There's too many of you, but I feel like the insight that she gave me, when I know more about your child and how you're doing at home, then I can help you more. Like I can change my lesson to accommodate that child and their needs. If there's something going on at the house, or if they're simply in a rut, and you've told me about, X, Y, Z, or maybe they don't practice the way you want them to, like the question we just had, or maybe there's a medical issue that I don't even know about, because we've never had a chance for you to tell me about that. Little things like that kind of give me a little bit more insight to how they're learning. Or maybe they love this way of practicing, but they don't like this way of practicing. I can give you more ideas. But the more I know about your child, I think it's better. I would like to try to have a one-on-one conference. The problem that I'm having is she does it during one of the lessons. And I'm so stingy, I don't want to give up a lesson. So I'm trying to figure out if I can not give up a lesson and just do it on the extra time. What?
Half of one lesson.
Yeah, I'm still trying to think of what, if you have ideas, shoot me an email or whatnot, but I don't want to give up a lesson just because I love my lessons. I love teaching. I don't want to give up that time, but I can see the value of this. I can really, as you know, when you go to a teacher conference, it opens up all these doors, and it's there were things that I could tell, my kids' teachers that they didn't know, we had 2 years of preschool, we already know how to do this, and I have no idea, that's why he's bored, he's causing problems. It would be really great if I knew some things. And I don't think it's too late for some of the high school kids. I feel like I might benefit from them as well. Just if there's any insight that they might, whether the homework load is hard and they're making a hard adjustment or whatever, or maybe at home, it's something like, well, Miss Casey does this, and maybe you want to tell me, but you haven't had a chance to. I don't know. I just feel like it might be really good for me to have one-on-one with the parents. Amy?
Because I talk a lot, I have done this anyway, and we've taken time, especially to discuss Adrian, and you've known my Izzy since she was 4 years old.
Right.
And that was 8 years ago. But you do a phenomenal job addressing each child's particular needs, and so I do think that's really, really helpful. Especially for those of us that have completely different two sets of children. And so what worked for Izzy doesn't work for Adrian and vice versa. And so you've done a really good job helping to focus us towards what will work, what's acceptable, and what the goals are for each particular child. So I would like to compliment you and thank you for that, and encourage other people to have that discussion as well.
Yeah, and I think that with some parents like you, Amy, because we've been together for 8 years, I can call call you on the phone and say, hey, what do you think is going on? What do you think, X, Y, Z? But I haven't had a chance to do that with everybody, so maybe that's where this comes in. And maybe not everybody needs a conference. Maybe you can just fill this out, and then some little bit, and I can call you on the phone. But maybe some of you, I might want to sit down and have like, let me see what's going on at home. How can I be a better teacher?
I think it would be just as valuable as the regular lesson plan. Like it would be a great thing to have once or twice a year for check-in as part of the lesson.
Yeah, maybe maybe right after Christmas when nothing really is going on.
Yeah.
You know, because right now I can't take an all-state day recording. I can't take a honor orchestra day. I can't I just recital. I just can't. I can't. I can't do it.
Yeah, can we just bring it back to at our lesson this week?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Yeah, whenever you get a chance. Feel free to leave the line. So we have one. Did anybody have anything else you want to chit chat about? We feel good? Thank you so much for coming. I hope this is beneficial. Yay, good. Yay team. Yay team.
I wanted to speak specifically about a practice game that I do with Lucia, because I don't think I've ever heard it. It's called the Langling Challenge. Have you ever heard of the Langling? Yeah. So Hillary, the famous violinist, is like playing a song, or there's another song where she had to switch things around. So like it would be like we'd have a stack, you pick a card, and that would be the song. That would be the challenge. So I started doing that with Lucia, but I do challenges that don't affect the song. It's silly to make it fun. So like the song will be Lightly Row, part A, 3 times, right? The challenge would be something like you have to play with a sticker on your nose. A sticker on your nose, like you playing this song with this kind of hilarious. Like, oh, you have to play this song while you're wearing your unicorn costume, or you have to play this song while you're standing in the laundry basket. Like, so it's all stuff that we're playing, but it's all stuff that just is different and weird, and it's very exciting for her. And it's called the Langling Challenge. L-I-N-G, Langling Challenge. But they're also like her favorite one is you have to play. I'll put a chocolate chip in her mouth, and she's not allowed to eat it until the song's over. So she has to play the song with the chocolate chip in her mouth, and then at the end of the song she has to eat it. That's my favorite. So like I have 24 Lindy, and she always picks that one and then stack it with things. So she's like, all right, and I only do it on the weekends. I don't do it. It's during the week it was. Bye, Karen. On the weekends, she's like, can we do the Langling Challenge today? I'm like, all right, girl. So I'll send you a link to the our Langling list.
I'll let you out, and then I'll go in.
I invited oh my God, it's very good.
Still working on that project though? Man, we got you moving, huh?
How's other Felix doing with school? Does he like it?
He actually enjoys it.
That's great.
I think he's more the classroom kind of person.
That's great. How does it
It's our focus, right?
Yeah, he's into focus. It's like he's willing to do that. I could see that. Oh, thank you.
Sorry about that. Just use
I'll see you
one
guys
for
later.
controller.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye. Music,
I like staying and then people were like tired. She's here. Are they there all day? On a night, see, and was like, okay, can you know what? Give me your cell phone number and text me and tell me what we're doing. No, and I'm like, yeah, ask him.
Then, and I was like, no.
Like, what type of hair?
No, because I think both of us have fine girls.
Especially with more hair.
She gets those. I think we have the same hair. Literally, Steve goes,
Shannon,
I walked into the gym one time and I thought it was you because I saw it still and then that shading form like every
Okay.
It's just really short kid. And I'm like,
No, that's
do you just say hello? No, it's not that for me. It's like in passing, by the time I hear it, it's already, you know what I mean? So.
and is that she's like at 5:30, so I was like, well, what happens at 5:30? And Mom, I have no idea where you got from. I want all the fruit.
Oh, all the fruit. So today I had these.
What is it?
I don't know how far away the kindergarten class that has his grandparents' car.
And that's all. You know what they do, right? Okay, what happened during the day? They're really. So that's the one. Okay, because I thought they were there all day, so I'm not sure about 6 hours of food to do. And I'm all, wait a second.
I was told for an office to demand.
So they came and they brought me, I'm not checking, 30 bags of grapes. So George, so William's dad's name is George, and he's got one eye. It's all like wonky.
Emma's got, she's like, I'm gonna sing that whole day.
Got all these grapes, like, okay, Mom, okay. You guys know about horse trading? Let's do horse trading. This is my buddy's grapes. Horse trading these grapes.
I just run by here. I just thought I was afraid I was watching when she was playing, so I didn't understand the concept, so I didn't know if they were playing during the day, and I was like, oh, that's what everybody wanted to know, like, are they playing during the day, or is that what Paris? Because there were some coming from out of town, and they were like, the kids all gave their,
I had the ones, the green grapes and the purple grapes.
if it's over by 5, I can be back by 3. Yeah, that's fine, I'll help during the day, that's no big deal, and
5 o'clock.
yes, I saw that.
Where are you going? Where are these called? Apples.
Row just texted me 6 hours.
I
thought it was just re-signing up for the same one that I said, that's, and then I realized I said the first 6 hours.
What are your plans?
Is that okay? And I was like, give me details. Where, when, are you gonna get there? Are you gonna get there?
Yeah, so what you guys are all about? Yeah.
I asked for
So I think I'm gonna adjust my different. It all comes together. I'm so excited, because I really want to see what other kids do. So that's, I was telling them, I'm really excited, because I've already, you know, I don't get to go to performances ever. So it's like,
Right, it's not, you know.
Hour one where you're like, get every problem. It's much more the weather might have started. I'll just throw it to the back. I
I'm picking up my camera afterwards. Well, because we got to the party too. So,
I'm like, give me like 5 minutes and then I'll come and get
or
over.
like 5 something, and then how parents I'm running away from somebody. And so, I still think it's cute, so, it hasn't lost their like sparkle for me. So, yeah, so she, yeah, he's not, or is that, oh, she's not over yet, yeah. Like, I would pick the things to go see. Growing cool, but it's almost a little play. He's like, where are you going tonight? I'm all, oh, she is. You're fine. This is not you. This is not you. Not tonight.
A little bit, right?
Yeah, I know. Now he's like on the.
It's by Sarah, see ya.
Yeah. It's juggling, but I never
It's not everyday that, it's not fleece.
but I like take a whole like
Last year,
I'm in the lead. And I'm watching like, she goes, well, I didn't either, or else. I realized it wasn't the bathroom. He's like, he's like, who's in the closet? And everyone's all, but why didn't you come over? Like, is that bad? He's like, who's on the beat? And they're all, the drums. No, the piano. No. He's like, your bassist. She's on the beat, she's all in the bucket.
No, this is not a try.
You know, I have to see it and she finally got it, and it's a lot better, but like, it's been a struggle this year, I'm trying to encourage her. 2 weeks ago, he said, you know,
There was
something like that, but.
crazy. It's a challenge.
Yeah, she said he's that camp. Yeah, she hides from him because she's always crazy. She doesn't Right, I'm all, you realize what happened to her. Oh, and then there's the mom, she has headaches. She does there's this high rock. They're very friendly with you because like, yeah, after the first time where she was carrying her and pulled something in her bag and then she had to go see the nurse and then she went through all pills and so that was a whole. So then the next year I sent her with chewable.
Have to?
And then I said, guess what? She was all her pills and she's like, yay, no chewables. Yeah, well, that's a big instrument. You know, you can't always drag it on the road.
Yeah.
So she's like, coming back. I'm engaged. She took yours up. Yeah. My husband bought me just bought it. I don't go to up there because she goes, I'm not sure how she's gonna drag. She's like, okay, well, there's different. I go, alright. Let me check what our insurance is on that. Yeah, so she's got a nice time now. She'll bring it for the show. She's always yeah, I named her Joshua. And he had a nice one too. He's out in the She went to go get our bow from. Like this whole basis. And you're thinking it brings that like one big store, right? It's the website, like has a it's just a warehouse. You didn't what is it? Why warehouse are you feeling? Why is this always kind of the way I roll? It was not. Yeah, no, yeah. So she's totally not confident. I mean, you know, she's just overwhelmed. It's like school for an hour. She's coming in, but she's I'll just see her. She, yeah, they really you were my boss. Like, I will do whatever you ask me to handle. That is my job. I will do my job. My first kid, but you can do everything. Oh, they come for the that you are.
She's very talkative in the car, so maybe she's just tired.
Right.
She's the type that's really good on.
Yes.
Well, she had to sit in the back and I think that they kind of figured that out themselves so that, you know, they were different in the beginning, just now they've,
not like,
yeah, now they've separated into,
like inappropriate,
you know, and it's like,
inappropriate, and I was like,
yeah, it's funny, but she's always like, yeah, so she, oh, not at all.
And the weird thing is, she's just sensitive. But then I heard from several other parents, and then like persuaded one family, I persuaded one family to put their kid in orchestra. Right? So it's
Oh, but I yelled at the girls in the morning.
oh, she like, yeah, this is exactly what I heard. She wanted you, and she wanted all the teachers there because you guys are there you go.
Good night.
Good night. So
Thank you.
Yeah. So it was hard the last few years, but she did it. A little bit thicker skin. She's like, sometimes maybe I made a mistake. Seems like I made a mistake. She goes, I guess I made a mistake. And I said, well, maybe you played something. And then the girl said, yes, I did. She goes, oh, no. And she just always picks on him. And I'm like, oh, really? So she says, you think? That's hard to hear. Back in class, he was going to go to class. Right? Like he picks on your kid. And he let them all out. And he would tell her, he's like, because she's basically best friends with Abby, and Abby's dad. I was
I wouldn't talk to her to see if she's
dude, I'm like, dude, do you guys need to take a marketing class? Because you are the priority in going to Unified, FYI.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, don't you want to leave? That's why I say, this is not selling it.
And kids, they're gonna want to do more of that work than their homework, right? I mean, come on.
Right, yeah. So it's like,
So she asked me for a ride, and I said, well, do you live in Old I mean, not that I might take different ones. Right. I just want to make sure she didn't pull this. You're only concerned, because I don't know what she is, but then I'll go.
there's someone else doing the orchestra for the lower.
And I was like, uppers, just give me a
And
second.
then he does marching band, so I hear him, because I wear straight, so I hear him. But, you know, and those kids are so dedicated, I mean, I have nothing but respect for them.
So no, that was not
Because they're out there all the time. So you hear that, you know, thank you, or whatever that thing is.
Imagine if we redirected all
And I kind of was like,
that
oh,
to like
everyone's
music
taking
practice.
time on this people to come.
Just give it a central
Well, she was like,
element and
everyone's clear.
Oh, sure we do. Because they have 12
Oh, I
hours.
agree with
She's
that.
like, I know she's not worried about that.
Like I say,
Yeah.
I'm out of town.
I know.
The people who are off to Central Valley, and Erin's at home in bed. She's in bed all day.
Like that LA and San Francisco. We went to San Diego this year.
But she's like down for the count, and Erin's never sick. So when she's sick,
She's gone, yeah.
she's sick. Like,
She's
I would
like,
question it.
she's super hard, because otherwise she's like 2 hours is pregnant, she's there, right?
Right. Dude,
Yeah.
I didn't go to the studio.
How are you?
Yeah, is he happy?
He is really happy.
Okay.
He definitely misses music, I would just say that.
So he's not playing at all? At the school?
So, we are not at Edison for music.
Look at that.
Does he play orchestra there? Oh, sure.
Yes, so he plays there, but, so, Ima is a band teacher there, like, that, took over piano, because Miss Bohm is no longer there. Yeah.
So, okay.
Nope, that's not gonna work. Yeah.
But he takes as well, at least he has orchestra.
Well, there's like 5 kids and he just practices all the time. It's great.
That's kind of nice.
Right.
So
Nice.
nice.
To practice, and
He gets it done. That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah?
I'm glad he's happy.
Well, I'm glad he's happy too.
Everybody's happy too. He is, he's sad sometimes, but
Yeah, I'm sure it was a hard decision for him.
I swim polo. I swim polo and he was, he's good. He's good now.
I know most of my telling that because he's gonna be like, I'm gonna put it in the city and have kids eat it during next week.
That's been the fridge.
Because the cheese will wait for a week, right?
As long as you want it in the fridge. Yeah.
Right, totally. Kids could eat
Oh,
that.
that was in the middle of
Chris was
summer.
like teary-eyed because I didn't want this, you're gonna take it home.
Yeah, because it's gonna get hard.
Yeah. So let me put it in here and then I'll
Kids are here.
I know, right? It was just like, I don't know.
Because it's gonna get all the ends are gonna get all hard.
It's
It's
just
just-
like,
You don't think the kids will eat the
it's
cheese?
okay, and.
What is it, just put the cheese in here?
If you're anything,
Oh, let me
be
know.
genuine about, like, I really, that's.
No,
that's-
does
yeah.
it get too soggy?
It was like,
Does it
yeah,
get
and
Yeah.
I was, I was like, ah.
No, I will tell you that
Sorry.
truthfully,
I love that stuff.
Okay, good.
if it makes you feel better, like you were, no, maybe.
Children are my life.
No,
Yes.
yes.
They'll eat it. That's besides.
I'm going on
Yeah,
Patrick
and
Birthday.
then this,
Yeah.
and you like,
It's a different home.
the different nights are all, I'm
Yeah, it's the
Three
diet
nights are awesome.
to get back to my birthday.
That's the different.
To get to did when you were born?
Yeah. It's just like,
That's what I'm going for. That's gonna work.
it's gonna be, it's gonna be really good. So he's good.
And we're on.
So do you want this in the fridge then, Casey?
Okay, I'm going.
This in the fridge?
She's
Let
okay,
me have
right?
that plate.
Yes.
She's gone.
You did go through 4 bottles of wine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you for the help. This is not gonna be covered, though, is that okay? In the fridge, you think?
You're gonna have one of these celery juice before we put this away.
Those are actually.
Oh, I'm not, because then my husband will be like, you taste like.
No, go through the, has to go through when you go jazz.
No, I just, no,
I
it's the
just,
garlic.
record for them, and they bring me a
sad fact.
and then I
Eat the even better, like in a baked good.
I always make sure they check, make sure they.
I don't, you know, I think.
Noticing my face look like this in the morning, I'll send you a picture.
I think if you just ate the fruit.
Not pretty.
Alright, you guys. Fruit. Okay, I'll see you later at the fridge and I'll come back for
You're
more.
not allowed to cut it.
No, I mean, just like, bring it in.
I have to leave this place. There is a sleepover going on at my house.
Do you
So,
do-
okay,
do you-
Aaron's not used.
Are you doing all your recording stuff?
Okay.
I think so,
Bye,
because.
guys. Okay, so thank you, we'll see you later.
So what I do is I just do it on GarageBand. I don't know,
Oh,
shall
yeah, and then just, I don't know.
Yeah, so wherever there's a
Oh,
double
so you're
bar.
good.
and
No,
then
you're good.
I put it there, and I put it there, and then I bounce it to iTunes.
Right, okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to see if you needed any.
Bye.
I can make your life any easier now, because we have all that recording.
I don't do any visualization anymore. I don't
I
worry.
know you're not supposed to. Alright. I just meant like getting, now that they're supposed to be single digital files and everything.
I think you can like balance, but I don't know how to do balancing, so I just kind of took the microphone. So I don't do anything like that.
Okay, that's fine. I mean,
Asina does hers with Cooper Walden,
yeah.
and he has like notes on the cello, but then he has a special soundproofing or whatever. But I just use that room right there.
No, that's fine, that's fine. Because it's not, I mean, you don't want anybody to think that there's anything we're doing.
Yeah.
So, because we've had a few students in the past who think you, it's never a good thing.
Really? Well, how do they, I'm not smart enough to even know how to.
You can't have like any, so you can't have any effects on it whatsoever, right? You
Okay.
can't change it in any way. And
Not
so
like I know how to do that
I
anyway.
had a flute student years ago audition, and she recorded in her bathroom,
Okay.
and so it's a lot of natural reverb, right?
Oh, right.
So they DQ'd her because they said it was digitally processed, and it's like, no, it wasn't.
She did in the bathroom.
Yeah, so, that was, anyways, I didn't hear that. If you ever need any help, like, the students need anything, because we have that full recording studio, but a lot of students do record in there.
Right.
So, I'll send it
I
to you.
wish I had a recording video that would be cool, but I don't know how to do any of that stuff anyway.
Okay,
So
well,
I
no.
just, there's my little.
Do you want a cake? Do you want a cake? Because we're not gonna eat it.
Where's a cake?
What about like a group class, like, I mean, a homeschool thing that's happening?
There's always a homeschool, there's a homeschool thing happening tomorrow.
See, there you go.
You have
Already you have your thing to bring. If you're creative, you might even be able to make it look full with maybe some flowers on the side.
Sure, no way.
Throw some cascading fruit down and it won't look like it's been cut into.
Perfect.
Like purposeful.
You guys are fun.
Perfect.
Alright, do you need any help with your?
Nope,
No,
you're
we
good.
got it.
I got Marisa.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, let me know if you need anything.
Thank you.
There's something else I want to do, but never mind. There is something, I know that there's something.
It'll come, and I'll still be here.
Yeah.
You put the,
Bye.
you put the paperwork in the cabinet, right?
Yeah.
Psychological help. Like, and I feel so bad because some of the parents don't know, like I didn't know until the party, that she's so good, like.
What happened? Oh, yeah.
Like, it's like, oh no, and then don't talk to her. What's all that about? She needs to go get some help.
Her husband has a neurological disease,
Okay.
and she's kind of losing it.
Yeah, but
But I think she definitely needs,
she needs to get help.
She has depression and.
You know, most people with depression don't cry. They hold it.
I don't know what happened, like, I don't know.
Because you didn't acknowledge her when she needed to say that question. I'm guessing it was that because then she walked over there and started crying.
Like, I asked her.
100 times. No, it's a.
I was like,
It's bizarre.
It is kind of
I
weird.
just feel really bad for Abby.
Yeah.
Because right now, she's the one that needs to be having her breakdowns and teenage years.
Yeah, I don't think that's what's happening.
And she's probably doing the mothering.
Well, she does a lot of the mothering, from what I understand. She does a lot of that herself.
do you break down the table?
No, I leave it up. Because I put it over there where those chairs are, because
Good chair. Right
those,
here in the
yeah,
front?
in the front, because I have so much paper music I'm working with right now.
Okay.
My parents even knew where the corkscrew was.
So you're taking this home, right?
Sure.
The crackers and the sandwich, is that what you're taking?
Yeah.
Okay, and the open bottle of wine?
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
I'll take my plate back. No, I'm good. I have an open bottle of wine in my refrigerator that hasn't been drunk in who knows how long. There's a violin on the piano bench. Looks like it, or a case at least. And then there's your paperwork and your computer.
Where's the corks?
Didn't I put them on? Oh, I'm sorry, I just put them, I didn't even see that box. And then there's stuff on the ground and stuff over here that seems like, it looks like a computer. Is that not a computer?
That's my
Is that your phone case?
That's my phone case. Did I even like stop it?